Hello students, welcome to Topper IAS. Today, as a part of our daily discussion, we will be, going into the analysis of one important topic from the viewpoint of mains. Okay, so let's get started then. So what we are going to see today is with respect to insolvency and bankruptcy code 2016. So why we picked up, because see, last 2 3 days it is in newspaper. Why? Because Supreme Court has upheld the rights of the creditors to proceed against the personal guarantors who acted as a guarantor while providing loans to corporate entities. So simple, whenever somebody takes a loan, there are also people who act as a guarantor to your loan when the bank is issuing the loan, right? So same case, whenever the corporate entities take the loan, people or particular individuals act as a personal guarantors. So what Supreme Court said, creditors can initiate even uh, resolution process action against even these personal guarantors. So that's why this was in news. So we will see what is the importance of insolvency and bankruptcy code that was formulated in the year 2016. Okay. So before we start, first the meaning of the terms we should know. So insolvency is a situation when a company is unable to repay its debt. So person or a company has taken the loan, but it is not able to pay back the taken amount. So that's condition we call it as a insolvency in normal terms. But when this insolvency condition is declared by the competent court, then we call it as a bankruptcy. So when it is a legal declarations of one's inability to pay off debts, a person knows or the company knows that they are not able to pay back the debt, but when this condition is declared by the competent court, then it becomes a bankruptcy condition. Okay, this basic meaning you should know. So to address this insolvency and bankruptcy situations, Government of India came up with insolvency and bankruptcy code of 2016. Okay, so what was the main intention was to first to consolidate all the previous laws that were related to insolvency and bankruptcy codes. We had a number of laws, and also to tackle non-performing assets. So you know the meaning of non-performing assets. So those loans or assets on which there is a uh, due of principal or interest amount for a period more than 90 days. So beyond, so you are not getting any interest or principal amount for minimum 90 days. So then the asset becomes non-performing asset. Okay. So IBC implemented mainly to consolidate the loss and to tackle the NPA problem in the economy. Okay. So question comes. So already we said the intention. So the question is like, why do we need a law? Okay. So what is the case is, so insolvency, bankruptcy, these are the conditions which are likely to occur in the while in the economy. So economic activities. So there has to be, resolution of these conditions. So we should have insolvency resolution within a shorter period of time. But what was happening in India was, it was taking around 4.3 years on an average to resolve such a insolvency situation, while you see in other countries like United Kingdom it was just 1 year, and United States of America it is just 1.5 years. So when you see compare with India, see 4.3 years is a very huge difference, right? So there was a delay. So why was the delay? Because already case courts are having n number of cases with them pending. That is one more one reason. And another reason was, see, we had a n number of laws before IBC. So there was a uh, lack of clarity between the laws and confusion. So that was also two main reasons why we had such a high resolution insolvency resolution period. So cases were pending, backlog cases in courts, and one more is lack of clarity about the bankruptcy framework. Okay. So with having this situation, IBC aimed to what, to resolve insolvency in a time bound manner. So how within a time bound, in the sense within a particular period of time you have to resolve the insolvency condition. So what did it do? So what it said that the insolvency process will be completed within 180 period. So in the sense decision to resolve insolvency should be done within a 180-day period. So how this will be done? The moment default occurs, when the debtor is not able to repay the money, so what a creditor, person who has given the loan, will take over the debtor's assets, and he will decide, a committee of debtors will decide what will be future course of action, and they will take the decision within 180-day period. So with this time limit, what the resolution process will be quickening. Okay, so that is why we needed a law, to reduce the insolvency resolution time period. Okay, so how does law do this? So law achieves this it also by providing for various uh, process. So the process will be assisted through n number of entities which are created as a part of law. So such kind of entities as a part of law, we have insolvency professionals which are created. Who are these? These are the professionals who will be administering the resolution process and manage the debt assets of the debtor, and provide information for creditors to assist them in decision making. So this is the function of insolvency professionals. And we will also have insolvency professional agencies. What these will do? They will certify the insolvency professionals and enforce a code of conduct for their performance. This is the work of insolvency professional agencies. Then we have information utilities. So what these do, and these will these will have these are like a repository of financial information, such as the creditors will report the financial information of debt owed to them by the debtor. So repository of financial information utilities are. And we have adjudicating authorities. So whenever there is a proceedings of resolution against the companies, so it will be adjudicated by National Company Laws Tribunal. So and whenever the proceedings of resolutions are against the individual, it will be adjudicated by debt recovery tribunals. Okay, two entities. So adjudication process against a company, it will be by National Company Law Tribunal. If it is against the individual, it will be by debt recovery tribunal. Okay. And next we have another entity that is part of IBC law is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board. So what is the function of the board? So it will regulate all the and other entities, insolvency professional agencies, and information utilities that were set up as a part of the law. So these are all the various entities that have been created as a part of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of 2016. Okay, then what is the procedure to resolve the insolvency code? So the procedure, how resolution takes place. Okay, so first initiation happens. What happens in initiation is, whenever the default occurs, that is whenever the debtor is unable to repay the amount, resolution process may be initiated by the debtor or the creditor. Either of them can initiate. Okay, then the insolvency professional will administer the process, and what they will do is these professional will provide financial information of the debtor to information utilities, to the creditor, and manage the debtor's assets. So once the initiation of insolvency process begins, it is the insolvency professional will administer the debtor assets, and they will administer this process for a period of 180 days, and any legal action against the debtor is prohibited during this period. So up to 180 days you cannot initiate any legal action against the debtors. This is the initiation process. Then what happens is, then there will be a decision to resolve insolvency. So what insolvency professionals will do is they will create a committee of financial creditors. So creditor is the one who has given the loan. So financial creditor is the one who is uh, which is backed up by the security like loans and all, they are involved with the uh, debtor in the form of loan advances. Okay, and we, because there is a differentiation with respect to operational creditors also. So operational creditors are those who are involved with day-to-day transaction. Okay, so financial creditors are not involved with day-to-day transaction of the company, rather they are involved in the form of loans and advances. Okay, so that you should know difference. So what insolvency professional will do, they will create a committee of financial creditors, and this committee will take a decision regarding the future of debt. So what will be the future of course will be decided by this committee. So what they can do, either they may choose to revive the debt. How? By changing the repayment schedule. So they can postpone the schedule of repayment, or all they can choose to liquidate the assets. Liquidate the assets in the sense sell off these assets so that they can recover their money. Okay. So if the decision is not taken by committee of creditors within 180 days, then debtors' assets will go into liquidation. So they have to take the decision within 180 days. If not, then the assets will be liquidated. So liquidation will happen. So liquidation is nothing but selling of the debtors' assets. So once you sell the assets, you will recover the money, and the recovered money will be distributed among the people in the precedence, in the order. Like first insolvency resolution cost, then to secured creditors. Secured means whose loans are backed by collateral. Then secured creditors, unsecured creditors, sorry. Then dues to the government and priority shareholders and equity shareholders. This is how the amount will be given. Okay, so by providing all this process, what insolvency and bankruptcy law aims to achieve is, it will consolidate insolvency laws in India. It will simplify and expedite the insolvency and bankruptcy proceedings in India, and it will protect the interest of creditors because they are able to get back their money, and it will promote entrepreneurship. So because once they get the money they are once they are sure that they are going to get back their money, they will be more than willing to give back, give loans to other people as well. So people will this will promote the entrepreneurship. So that is nothing but provides necessary relief to the creditors. So need not be insecure about their loans. It will give them confidence. So consequently they will be willing to lend more, so that will increase the credit supply in the economy. So this is what insolvency and bankruptcy code seeks to achieve. Okay, so some of the few positive outcomes have already been seen, because those are like one is, this is vast improvement over the earlier legislation related to insolvency, such as Sikh Industrial Companies Act of 1985, and one more, recovery of debts due to Banks and Financial Institution Act of 1993. So this is improvement over these two. And one more positive is speedier resolution. So already in the beginning of the discussion itself, we've seen like 4.3 years was mentioned. So resolution process took over an average of 4 to 6 years. Now the resolution process has come down to 317 days. So this is a positive outcome. Then we have higher recoveries. So recoveries are also higher at 43% after IBC compared to 22%. So only if 100 rupees was given, only 22% was the recovery. Now it has increased to 43% after IBC was implemented. Okay, and one more positive is, due to the institution of IBC, we have seen that many business entities are paying up upfront before being declared insolvent. So the success of Act lies in the fact that many cases have been resolved even before they were referred to the NCLT. So people have become, more active pro in paying the due amount. Okay, so and other significance, so as a consequence of all this is ease of doing business. So in the past 6-7 years, India's rank has seen a significant improvement in ease of doing business of World Bank, that is from 142 to 63. So the one of the reason for this improvement is implementation of insolvency and bankruptcy code in India. Okay, so this is also one of the reason why there is a significant improvement ease of doing business in India. Okay, so some challenges still exist. exist. So one is lack of operational NCLT benches, so National Company Law Tribunal. So these benches will be dealing with will be adjudicating insolvency proceedings against a company, but you see there are less number of NCLT benches. So obviously this will impede the faster resolution of a process. Okay, then we have lower approval rate of resolution plans. So out of the cases that have been referred, only 15% of plans have been approved. So more less number of plans that have been suggested by committee of creditors have been accepted, just a 15%. Okay, and missing the deadline. So we already know, like 180 days it mandates, and in that 180 days can be extended by another 90 days, total of 270 days. But you have seen that in some cases it has gone beyond 600 days because of continuous litigation by one party or the other. So these are the few challenges that remain still as part of IBC. Okay, and you should also keep track of, and few of the amendments have been done to IBC, few amendments, with most recent amendments done during the COVID time. So COVID pandemic, economic shock, economic crisis. So NPAs has risen up. So for a temporary period, there is suspension of initiating resolution process against the defaulters. So that has been made under the IBC through amendment. So you should also keep track of the amendments, what the exact amendment is done, and why was it necessitated. Okay, so this was with respect to IBC and discussion. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and you can also download the PDF of this file in the link that is given below. Thank you. Have a good day.